Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating the entire activity we have here from Module 2. So the tabs I have pulled up right now, I have the sample Desmos, which I already copied and edited. If you need to do that, you click the three dots at the top and then click copy and edit. So I have that pulled up over here. And then I have the computation layer tips and tricks document that I created here. Scroll to the top, and then I have the Desmos computation layer, which we probably won't really look at this because everything you need is in my document, but you can look here for even more possibilities with the computation layer. And then finally, I have the final product pulled up right here that you can use to check your work. So the first thing we are going to do, I'm going to go to my sample Desmos. I'm going to go to the first slide, and I'm going to follow the teacher directions on each slide that tell me what I need to be doing. So for the first slide, I need to use the computation layer to add a personalized welcome to the note to the right called welcome that says, welcome to Algebra 2, and then I want their name input. So I want whatever they type as their name to show up there. So I'm going to be putting that in the welcome note. This isn't supposed to be, oh, I have the wrong thing pulled up. Of course I do. Never mind. Discard draft. Okay. Let's try this again. So we would copy and edit this, and then this is what we're going to be using. Okay. All right. And then I have my final version here. Okay. So I'm actually going to pull up this. Okay. All right. So I should have everything. I don't need this. Okay. So my sample Desmos, I'm going to start on the first slide, and I need to change this. I need to add to the computation layer in the note called welcome. So when you're making your own, you would have to label these things yourselves, but I already have it labeled so you know exactly where to go. And the computation layer is this button right here. It's like the less than and the greater than sign with the slash in the middle. That's where I'm going to go to edit the computation layer. And it doesn't tell me what to put in the computation layer. That's where I have to go to my, my computation layer tips and tricks document. So since this is something I'm putting in a note, okay, this is a note component. I can tell because it's not a student input. It's just where you type text. Since it's a note, I'm going to go to this note section, and then I'm looking for the text input to personalize. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So here I have the code that I need to type. So, and over here it says name input should match the name of the text input box where the student will be typing their name, and then replace the text in the quotes with whatever you want the welcome to say. So if I look at this, I do have the place where the student will put their name is already called name input. So when I go to the computation layer, I'm going to type the same thing, my name equals, and I could name the my name something else. It just has to match what I put inside these brackets. I'm just going to keep it the same as this, but you could change it. So when I'm typing name input, I see this pop up, which is good. That means I already have something called name input, which is what I'm trying to pull from. So I can click that and then dot, and then I put content after that. And that pops up. So again, I know I'm doing the right thing when like the different things pop up. You can put spaces here or not. I'm just going to because I think it looks a little nicer, but it works either way. Then the content is going to be what actually goes into the note. What do I want the note to say? I want it to say welcome to the activity, and then I want it to be personalized by saying the student's name, which I just already created the variable. This is like a variable called my name, and it's taking the content from name input, and that's the student's name. So that's kind of what's happening here. You don't have to fully understand it, but you do have to make sure everything matches correctly. So when I type content, it turns green, which means I'm doing it right. And then I need to make sure this is in quotes because I want it to say, welcome. Well, actually, let me double check. What did I want it to say? Welcome to Algebra 2. So if I click done and when I'm in the middle, it's fine. It doesn't mess anything up, but you can tell I'm not done because I have this exclamation point. I didn't finish putting what needed to go in the content. So welcome to Algebra 2. And then you use this notation to pull the variable my name. So you have to do the little money sign, and then the bracket, and then my name. Again, it pops up because it's a variable I created. If it didn't pop up, that would mean I haven't created this variable yet. It's not going to work. So it pops up, I close the bracket, and then I put my exclamation point and close my parentheses. It's a lot like math in that way, because like, you know, sometimes students are like, why do we have to write it this way? And like, it's just like, that's the notation. That's like how this works. You have to put the brackets and the dollar sign, and that's how you pull the variable, which is pulling whatever the student types into name input, okay? So I'm gonna click done now. Don't have an exclamation point, so it should work. I can click preview, type my name, it works. My name is popping up down here. That's what I wanted it to do, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go on to slide 2. So the teacher directions say use the computation layer to add multiple choice feedback in the note called assignment feedback. So let me make sure I know where that is. That's down here, okay? Good, that's where I'm gonna be going. I want it to say, good job completing the homework if they say they did, or I want it to say this if they started it but didn't finish, and then, or I want it to say this if they said, no, I haven't started it. So I'm gonna need to go back to my document, go to multiple choice and figure out where the code is for this. So multiple choice, I think I skipped it. Oh, it's the under notes because, yep, it's under note because I'm putting the code into the note, not into the multiple choice. It's about the multiple choice, but it's going into a note because it's something that's going to pop up telling them what to do. So I have to type like this. I'm going to show for this example, since it's a little long, I am going to try copy pasting, seeing if it works okay. So I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to have to edit it though. Some of the tips over here are make sure MC1 matches the name of the multiple choice you're talking about. So make sure your multiple choice is named. This one's just called MC. So I'm going to have to change my code to say MC to match that. The number in these parentheses should reference the multiple choice selection. So the first selection, the second selection, or the third. I probably don't need to change that because I can just go in order and put the feedback that I want. And then I'm going to just copy the feedback it tells me to put for each choice. So I copied all of that. Click the computation layer under assignment feedback, and I'm going to try pasting it. Looks like it looked okay. So as you can see, it says it's unable to find the variable MC1. That's because I don't have an MC1. My multiple choice is called MC. So I need to get rid of the 1 and choose this one. That's what I want. So I have to do that for all of them. I need to make sure it's MC, not MC1. Oh, I still have to do that here too. So I need to change all of this to MC. Like you can do all this without really knowing what the heck it's doing, just knowing what has to match. If you want to know what it's doing, it's saying when the multiple choice is submitted and they select the first answer, this is what we wanted to say. When the multiple choice is submitted and they select the second answer, this is what we wanted to say. That's like what these functions are doing. So, and then if they don't select anything, it's just going to be blank. And the content of the note is going to be this feedback variable, which we just defined with all these different possibilities, depending what they say. Well, I do need to change this to match what I was told to put there. So if they choose the first choice, which is, as you can see, the first choice is that they completed it. This is what I want it to say. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it here. I'm not sure if it's the same thing or not. Okay, just to make sure it's matching what we want. I'm going to copy this second one for if they started but didn't finish. And I'm going to put that in the quotes here. You have to make sure you have the quotes. And then for the third one, I'm just going to copy that. That's if they haven't started it. I'm going to put that one in the quotes here. Okay, there's nothing else I need to change. Again, you could change this to like response, but then you'd have to change this to response. It will still work. You just have to make sure whatever you name this matches what you put down here, okay? So I do think that's maybe a good one to, I mean, you can copy paste things. You just have to, if you copy paste, you have to make sure everything is lined up and matching correctly. You still have to do that if you're typing from scratch, but yeah, that's just the way I would do it if I'm copy pasting. So click done, I can preview it. Let's make sure it works, submit, there we go. So no matter what I choose, I do get a response. Okay. Third one, sentence starter. This one's a quick one. Use the computation layer to add the following sentence starter to the text input, which is called text input 1 right here to the right. And these are the sentence starters. I'm going to just copy them right off the bat because I know I'm going to want to put them in my sentence starter. Now this is a text input where I'm putting the computation layer. So let me go to the text input section. That's yellow, sentence starter. All I have to do is type initial text, a colon, and then put whatever I want the sentence starter to be in the quotes. So this is one that I think is like a really quick one, easy one to do. If you are trying to do a little computation layer in your lessons, but you don't want to do all this some of the more complicated ones, I think this one's good. So initial text, I don't even have to finish typing it. It pops up, I can click enter. I need my quotes. And then these are the two things I want. I can put the quote wherever. I can put it up here. I can put it down here. It still works. I think I'm just going to put it at the end. So you just make sure you have your quotes. You can have these and you can have it spaced out like this. It's fine. I'm going to click done and preview it. And this is what it looks like. So they can just type, finish the sentence there. So that way you can make sure they're answering both. They remember to answer both questions. Okay. Slide 4. So this is a math equation starter. I want it to say f of x equals so that they remember to put the f of x equals there. This one's really similar to the sentence starter, but I'm going to go in my document to math input. Oh, got to go up. I keep missing it. There it is. Equation starter. So instead of initial text, like before, it's initial latex, colon. I still need the quotes around it. And then whatever my latex is. I don't think you have to for f of x. You don't have to like go use a latex converter. You can just type f parentheses x. So I'm going to click on the computation layer, initial latex. It pops up, quote, and then f parentheses x equals, close the parentheses. Or sorry, the quotations. That should work, but you're not going to see it here. You got to click preview to make sure it's working for the student end. And it is. I got the f of x equals here. All they have to do is type their answer here and so on. Make sure to check something works. You really do have to click preview. And sometimes you even have to like try doing it like a student to see if it's working. Not a lot of these things are like sort of invisible when you just look at the slide, but you have to try it and then you can see it's having a different outcome than if you didn't have the computation layer. So I'm going to go to slide 5, the math equation starter number 2. So I'm going to use initial latex again, but I want it to say y equals a times sine bx plus c. Don't copy paste this because I'm just not sure. I know this is like a special equation editor in the note, and it's not necessarily going to be in the right format for the latex. So I just wouldn't do that. Instead, I'm going to copy paste and use this website in a new tab to get the latex for this. So I want it to say y equals a times sine parentheses bx parentheses plus c. Okay, so it has it in latex over here. I'm going to go back here and get my initial latex set up. So I'm going to click the computation layer, initial latex, don't forget the quotes, and then I'm going to copy this. Paste it, close the quotes, and then click done. Okay, so don't copy this. I think if you copy this and then paste it, it's gonna look weird. Yeah. Oh, it might have worked actually if I had done it that way, but you do have to always put it in quotes. I just use the latex converter so I can make sure it's exactly what I want it to be. And then preview real quick. It's working. There it is. All right, disable evaluation. This one is so quick. This is another one that if you're not trying to be fancy, but you want to have some more options with Desmos, I really like this one. If you're trying to have students do something like this, where they're evaluating a fraction and you just don't want Desmos to tell them like what the decimal answer is just because it's not necessary, you can disable evaluation. So we're going to do that for the 2 math answer boxes, the fraction 1 and the fraction 2. That's where the student's typing. So that's where I want to disable the Desmos evaluation. So like I said, it'll convert their fraction to a decimal if you don't disable the evaluation. So again, this is under math input. All you have to do is type disable evaluation, colon, true. That's it. I think it's probably the easiest one here. So I'm going to click the computation layer. It pops right up, and then I type true. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll do it again for the fraction 2, disable evaluation, and then true. And if you preview it, so like the answer to this is 4/10, which is 2/5, and it doesn't write the decimal over here. That's just a pet peeve of mine when I want the student to like put something in fractions. I don't want Desmos telling them what the decimal is. I just want them to focus on one format. Sometimes that's really, really helpful. So that's what that does. So again, does the slide look different on the surface? No, it looks the exact same, but the outcome of what the student does is impacted, and that can be really valuable depending on what you're teaching. And that's a really quick, easy one that you can definitely incorporate. Okay, duplicate a sketch onto a graph. So for part 1, we're not duplicating the sketch yet because this is where they're going to do the sketch, but we do want the initial color of the sketching tool to be blue, and we want the initial sketching tool to be a pencil. So that means when the student pulls up their sketch, we want to make sure that this is the first thing that it will be allowing them to do. Technically, they can still change their tool, but we want them to be guided towards using we don't want them to, try and change the color and stuff. They could, but we want to encourage them to use the blue color so that they can see the difference between the graphs on the next slide. So under sketch, initial color. So I'm going to type initial color with a colon. So again, I'm going to the computation layer for the sketch here. So initial color, and then it's just colors dot, and then it's going to show me all the options. So you could use any other option. If you wanted to make sure they use purple, you could choose purple. I'm just going to choose blue. And then initial tool. And then for that, I type sketch tools dot pencil. So sketch tools dot, and you can see these are all the different options. So if I wanted them to be typing with the text, if that's what I wanted them to be doing, I could make that the initial tool if I don't really think they need to sketch. They can still change the tool as much as they want, but it guides them towards the correct output. So I'm going to click done, preview, and that is the initial tool I see. Now on the next slide, we're going to be duplicating this sketch onto this graph. So we have to use the computation layer in the graph to copy the student sketch from slide 4, which is called sign sketch, onto this graph. Okay, so this is something I'm going to need to find where I'm working with. This is under graph because I'm doing the computation layer in the graph, copying the sketch. So I'm not putting computation layer on the sketch for this. I'm putting computation layer on the graph so that the sketch can be copied onto the graph. Now, this, I'm gonna copy it, and we're just gonna edit what we need to edit for this. So I have it written over here though. So the sketch 1 in the parentheses right here needs to match whatever the name of the sketch I'm trying to copy from is. So on my activity, if I go to the last slide, this is called sign sketch. So I need that to say sign sketch right here. And then the copy sketch just needs to match whatever's down here. So you can name this whatever you want. They just need to match, because basically this is creating a copy of the sketch. I don't understand what this does. I don't understand what this does. I don't, but I can still use this even though I don't really understand what it's doing. So I already copied the whole thing, and then I'm just going to paste it. And then all I have to do is, right now it's mad because it's like there is no sketch 1. No, there's not a sketch 1. There is something called sign sketch that I want to be pulling from. And once I change that, it all works. Again, copy sketch, these need to match. You cannot make this the same. If you make this the same name, if you make it sign sketch and you make this sign sketch, even though they match, it won't work because you already have something called sign sketch in here and it's just too confusing. You just got to make things unique. So let's keep it as copy sketch. Okay, so now that should copy my sketch. I click done. I can preview it. Again, do you see anything different? No, the only way to test this is to go into the last slide, draw something, go to the next slide. It's copied, it's working. So that's how I know it's working. Again, you can't tell just by looking at it. You have to actually try it and see if it's doing what it's supposed to do, since computation layer usually takes it past what you can just immediately see on the slide. All right, making progress. We're on slide 9. All right, this is the self-check in the table. So I want to use the computation layer in this table, which is called table 2, to create the self-check indicator in each cell in the check column for the student input in the answer column. And I already gave the answer, so you don't have to think too hard about that. I need to go back here and find under table the self-check. So I explained this in class, but I'll explain it again. So this one looks, I know, really involved, but I really broke it down here. You're going to have a row in the computation layer for each row in the table, because each of these is telling what to do for each row. The first part that says cell content in green, that row column should match the row and column of the cell where you want the emoji, the check or the X, to show up. So that's why all of the columns are a 3, because the check is always going in the third column, the check or the X. Okay, and then the table 1, that needs to match the name of my table. So I just am going to have to check what is my table called, make sure that all of these match the name of the table that I'm putting the computation layer into. Now this row column over here should match the row and column of the cell where the student is going to be typing. That's where we want them to be checking the answer. That's the second column. So for all of these, it's a column 2. The row is just changing for each one because we have a row of code for each row, but the column is 2 for all of them, because that's where I'm looking to see what the student answer is. And then this in the quotes is going to be the number that I want, that is correct, that I want them to get the check for. And then if they don't have that type, they're going to get an X, because anything else would be wrong. You can change these emojis. You can copy paste other emojis if you want, but I'm going to use the ones that are here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy one row of this, and then I'm going to edit it to work for mine, make sure it works, and then I'll copy paste in my computation layer for each other row. So first of all, my table is called table 2. I'm going to check my first answer is going to be 61. So I just want to keep that in mind. So I'm going to copy paste that. I want this to make sure this works for my first row. So again, this is still the third column because my answer checks for this are also going in the third column. This is still the second column because the student is still typing in the second column for this. Now I need this to say table 2. I know that it wasn't saying there was anything wrong with table 1. That's because there is a table 1 in the Desmos somewhere, but I need to make sure it's referring to this table. So it needs to say table 2. And then my correct answer for this is 61. I'm going to keep the check in the X, but you could always change it if you wanted a different picture to show up. Now let me make sure this works. So all I had to do was change the table to table 2 and then change the answer I wanted. So if I click preview, you have to click preview to check it, type the 61, and the check pops up. So I know it's working. Now I'm going to continue for the next one, 79. So go back to the computation layer. I'm going to copy this row, put it below. Now it's mad right now because it's saying the same thing as the first row, which is not doing anything. I need to change it because I want this to work for the second row. So since it's the second row, I'm going to change the 1s to 2s. The columns are still the same because I'm still putting the check in the same column and I'm still looking in the same column for the student answer, but the row should be 2. And then my answer should be 79. Everything else stays the same. Let's double check. 61, 79, it's working. So I'm just going to keep with that pattern. My next answer is 67 and then 76. I'll do 2 at once for this one. So this needs to now be row 3, 67. Everything else stays the same. Copy, or I'll just paste again. Now it's row 4, and 76 is the correct answer. So far, we need 73 and 9 are the next two. So I'm just going to keep pasting. Now it's row 5. I already forgot what my answer is, 73. And then one more time, row 6, 9. Okay, so I can make sure it works. Preview, 61, 79, 67, 70, 76, 73, 9. Beautiful, it works. Okay. All right, slide 10, I don't need to do anything. This is just the card sort. And then on the next slide, we're gonna be doing the answer check for the card sort. So I'm gonna make note of what my card sort is called though. It's just called a card sort. So I need to use the computation layer to edit this note. That's called sort feedback. We want the note to say, congratulations, you sorted everything correctly, or you have however many cards sorted correctly. Go back and keep sorting until they're all correct based on their previous answer. Okay, so I need to go to note again because this is the card sort feedback going in the note. It's right here. Okay, I might as well copy this and just edit it for mine. Okay, and I want to look at these notes. Sort 1 needs to match the name of my card sort. So my card sort is just called card sort. So I'm going to have to change that here, here, and here. Replace the text inside the quotation marks with your own message. So I'm just going to make sure that it says what I want it to. So I'm going to copy that, go to the sort feedback, paste it in the computation layer. I'm going to change this. See, it's mad because there is no sort 1, but there is a card sort. So I'm going to change all 3 sort 1s to card sort. And then what do we want it to say? Congratulations, you sorted everything correctly. So I'm going to change, I'm just going to copy that message. And I can tell when card sort matches the key. So like that's when it's correct. That's where I'm going to put my correct answer message. It makes sense with what the code is saying. Otherwise, you currently have, I want it to say you have however many cards sorted correctly. So I have to make sure that this number is going to get replaced with that variable with the $ in the brackets. So I want it to say card sort dot total correct cards. So I'm going to put this here, but then I need this to say with the $. I lost it. Oh, card sort dot total correct cards, not total cards. And then I close my brackets. This can come up. So again, you can just copy that from here. You don't need to be, you don't need to like totally get this, but it is kind of intuitive. Like it's saying, look at this card sort, look at how many they have correct. And that's what I'm going to want to put into the message. And then correct equals card sort dot total correct cards. Do I have that right? Yeah. Actually, I think I can put just correct here. I'm just thinking about it, how this works. Because this is already referencing the total correct card. Let's see if it works. Let me match one of them correctly. You two are. Yeah, so it works that way too. I mean, either way is fine. So yeah, you can preview it by like playing with the sort and then seeing if this number changes and making sure when you have it right that everything pops up. I'm not going to go through all that, but you can check it that way. All right, the action buttons. I don't know a lot about action buttons except how to do the reset label and to change the style of the button. So we're going to edit the reset label to say click to reset and then set the button style to red. This is kind of a cool slide that definitely uses computation layer for this inequality. And you can look like in the graph, there's like all this computation layer stuff. I don't understand it, but it's something you could spend some time on if you're curious. So I'm going to be putting this in the action button called check button. So I need to go to that. And it says I need it to say click to reset. And then I also want the button style to change. So this is all the way at the bottom. Reset label. I actually have the exact reset label that we're going to need here anyway. But you can change this to say whatever you would want it to say when it resets. And then we want the button style to be red. So you just do the style with the colon and then button style is red. We'll choose that. I think this is supposed to be lowercase. Whoops. Let me edit that here. Sometimes it automatically does the uppercase. Yeah. So this needs to be lowercase. But as you can see, there are other styles of buttons, but we're going to do the red one. So I'm going to click done, make sure it works. So when I preview it, it should be if I choose an answer and then click check. Now it says click to reset. And then I can change my answer and click check again. And now it's a red button. Before it was blue. So that's just something you can do with the buttons. Even though I don't know how the whole slide works, I just know something I can change with the buttons. Okay, so you don't always have to know every single thing going on the slide if someone else made it and it's a little complicated, but at least you know some of the things you can modify. Now the last one, we have an ordered list. We want to use the computation layer to edit the note that's called explain list. And we want the note to say, you said that whatever the student input was is the least value in the list. Explain how you know this is true. So this is going to be under note as well. So it's all the way at the top, explain list. So the content of the note is going to say, you said that the, and then this is how we call the element that the student put first as there. So it's a 1 here because we're talking about the least value in the list. So this right here is going to tell it to get the first element from this list. Now let me make sure, what's my list called? Nope, it's called list. So that'll work. I won't even have to change that, but you need to make sure the list matches the name of your list and make sure this number matches the whichever element you want it to talk about. So like if you wanted to do the greatest element for this list, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you wanted it to be like, why is this the greatest element? You would change the 1 to a 6 and then say, why is that the greatest element? How do you know? So I'm going to copy this. And I think that this is like the exact thing that we needed to say. I don't even think we have to change anything, but we're putting it in explain list. And it makes sense. Content, you said that the list, the text at the first element was the least value in the list. Explain how you know this is true. Click done. And then if we preview it, it should, oh, yeah, I think it works. Yeah. So if I change like what's here, I'll change this, I'll put that there, cosine 270. Now it's telling me cosine 270. So it's working, but you could easily do that with the greatest element. Change it to a 6, change this to greatest, and explain. Okay, so that's everything. Hopefully this helped. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.